Hey, hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Chastity. Here we talk about beauty, entertainment, celebrities, books, movies, anime, TV shows, kind of anything else that garners my attention this week. And today we are talking about the fourth and final season of On My Block. Now, this is a very bittersweet feeling. It's bitter because I don't want this show to end. I personally love On My Block. It is one of my favorite Netflix shows. So to see it go is sad. But I'm happy that we got a final season because let's be honest, a lot of shows don't get that. You get a season and then you find out it got canceled. So I am very happy that we were able to have some sort of conclusion at the end of this very long ride. On My Block follows four friends, Jamal, Ruby, Monse, and Cesar. Is a coming-of-age story following them through high school in South Central LA. The majority of the first season is really just the gang trying to protect Cesar from having to join the same gang as his brother. So season 2 takes place 2 years after the end of season 3, and we see that the whole gang have gone their separate ways. Jamal is now this super popular football player and like prolific fuckboy, like fuckboy to the 10th degree, right? And like at first I was actually excited for Jamal because if you watch On My Block, Jamal is so underappreciated and so undervalued, and he's done so much for the gang and has never even gotten a thank you for it. So it was nice to see Jamal be appreciated and be so liked around school, until as the season goes on, you realize how, even though he has all of these friends, he's still very much so alone. These people don't know him. These people don't like Jamal for who Jamal really is. They like the idea of Jamal, but they don't like who he truly is. And that these people are not Ruby. They're not Monse. They're not Cesar. They don't like him for the real him. And throughout the season, we hear like how his father talks about the fact that he's a completely different person now because he did change. He changed a lot. So Ruby is dating Jasmine, and they're that couple that stop being like individual people and they just kind of fuse into one being. But usually when that happens, one personality is the more dominant one. And in this situation, Jasmine is the most dominant person. And like, in my opinion, she does treat Ruby like almost like a doll. Like she makes decisions for Ruby. She speaks for Ruby at certain points. She tries to dress Ruby. Ruby and Jamal have like, they're going up against each other for like student body president. And like a lot of the decisions being made during the campaign are all Jasmine's. And it is toxic. You can tell they've stopped being individuals, and like Jasmine is putting 100% of her energy into Ruby, which you should never put all of you into an individual person. Put none of it into yourself. But I did really like Jasmine this season, especially once her and Ruby broke up and she started like taking time for herself. I think we got to see a lot of personal growth in Jasmine this season, and I really loved that. Monse was off at her fancy boarding school, and I really do think that boarding school was good for Monse because she was able to actually make like female friends. And I do think it's very important for girls to have girlfriends. Like personally, I don't think male friendships are better than female ones. I'm not the type of girl that's like, I don't really get along with other girls. I get along great with other women, and I really do feel like it's important for young girls to have sisters, like who aren't like your blood sisters. I think that's super important, and I think female friendships are very important. So I think for Monse's character development and to grow as a person, she needed female friends, because at that point the only female friend she had was Jasmine. So I do like the fact that she was able to go away and make a whole bunch of girlfriends, and I do feel like those girls helped with her character development that we see in season 4, and we'll get to that later. So like in season 2, Cesar had joined the gang, but by the end of season 3, he's like a leader in the Santos, and I would just like to understand, why we letting little boys make gang decisions. For what? He is a boy. He is a child. He still got milk on his breath. Why is he in any type of control in one of the most prominent gangs in Los Angeles? I personally don't understand that, like, at all. Now, if we're gonna talk about Cesar, we also have to talk about Oscar, aka Spooky, who had the biggest character development change, whatever you want to call it, right? So by the end of season 3, Oscar is done. He's done with gang shit. He's done with the consistently being in danger. Oscar has hopes and dreams bigger than all of this. And I do believe he was really trying to be an example for Cesar. So Oscar gets jumped out. He grows his hair out, gets his tattoos removed, right? Meets this beautiful woman named Isabel. They get married. She's now pregnant with their daughter. And he's living like a civilian life at this point. And it's cute. It is so cute. And I hate these writers. I hate them so much. And we're going to get into why I hate them so much, because how fucking dare you? How dare you? But Cesar and Oscar are now on polar ends. They've switched sides, right? Now, Oscar is living the wholesome life and, Cesar is the gang leader. It's so funny, especially watching Cesar. I feel like it was on purpose, right? Cesar is not built for this, right? He is not spooky, but he's pretending to be spooky. And I feel like everyone around him can see that he's a little boy pretending to be a grown man. So the big conflict for this season is that Cochina, the gang leader lady from season 3, body has been found. So if you weren't aware, from season 3, they end up getting kidnapped by this gang leader lady who's like, I know you guys found little Ricky's money. Now I want you to find little Ricky. But then we later find out that regardless of if they find little Ricky or not, Cochina was going to kill them. So Oscar creates a plan to get rid of her. And now the police have found her body. Now the gang has to kind of come back together and kind of see what possibly the police know about this whole situation. Like I mentioned earlier, On My Block is one of my favorite Netflix original shows. It just hits differently for me than a lot of their other originals. I've rewatched season 1 multiple times. I specifically remember the first time I watched it too, and just how it impacted me and how much I just fell in love with the show, how I fell in love with the characters, just everything about On My Block I loved so much from the very first time I watched it. And I do believe that On My Block has one of the best first seasons of a Netflix original series. I stand by it. I think it's imperfectly perfect. I just think it sets up the world in the universe beautifully, and I love it. I think it's On My Block and Insecure are some of my favorite shows that take place in LA, because they feel real. As much as the show is a comedy, it still somehow feels rooted in realism, and I do not understand how the writers do that, because a lot of this shit is ridiculous, but it also feels realistic. I really love the tone of this show, because they've been able to master being able to juggle the seriousness with the comedy. And I think the comedy is very important in shows like this, because On My Block does get very dark. It does. And so they're able to lighten it up with the comedy, because the comedy hits. On My Block is funny. You cannot like this show, but you can't say that it's not funny in places. I think listen, because it's very hard to for a show to make me laugh. Usually when I'm watching shows, I can be fully aware that something is comedic and it's amusing, but I don't laugh, right? On My Block makes me laugh and catches me off guard all the time. I'm having a good time, and I can go from being almost in tears one scene and then being in tears because it's funny in the next scene. They fully mastered that dichotomy so well in this show. Also this season, we got a lot of flashbacks to explain what happened to the gang's relationship over these 2 years. The first flashback we got is between Cesar, Ruby, and Jamal, and they're arguing about the missing Roller World money. Now, Cesar says that he spoke to Oscar, and Oscar's like, I have no idea what happened to the money. And Cesar believes him. But unfortunately, Jamal and Ruby don't believe Cesar, and they have this huge falling out. And this fight is a lot of Cesar's motivation this season, because all of the money he gets from, like, gang shit, he is saving it and keeping it stocked so he can pay back his friends the money that he owes them from Roller World, because he feels like it's his fault that the money is gone anyway, so he's trying to pay them back. So that is how Jamal, Cesar, and Ruby's their three-way friendship splits apart, and now it's just Jamal and Ruby. Now, what happened to Jamal and Ruby's friendship is Jasmine happened, because Jamal became the definition of a third wheel. Because like I mentioned earlier, Jasmine and Ruby become one fusion person, and they're a lot to handle. Let that be known that throughout this season, Jasmine and Ruby was gross. Okay, making out everywhere, having sex everywhere. I would have hated being the third wheel of that, so they fall apart. We don't really get a flashback for that, but it is explained to us that happens. Now, as this is happening between Ruby, Jamal, and Jasmine, Jamal is trying to get in contact with Monse so he could vent to her, and he's leaving 15 voicemails explaining the whole situation. And then after he leaves his last voicemail, Monse accidentally butt dials him, which with iPhones and smartphones, y'all still butt dial people? Because I've never done that. I've never called someone by accident, but does that still happen? Because my phone only has when it's on this lock screen, I can only do emergency calls to 911 and stuff like that. So I don't know how often y'all be butt dialing people, but she butt dials him. And Jamal overhears her talking about, again, she says that she was talking about her chemistry teacher, and Jamal don't believe her. Talking about how annoying this guy is and how much of a little 8-year-old he is. And Jamal's like, a word? That's how you really feel about me? And this was actually the catalyst for Jamal to make his change and become the popular football player fuckboy we see in season 4. So that's how Jamal and Monse's friendship ends. He stops contacting her, and we find out in season 4 that she was trying to get in contact with him, but he just ghosted her after he heard, her conversation. Now, at the end of season 3, Monse and Cesar finally get together after all the bullshit they done put us through. They put us through a lot. They actually do end up being together, and they try to make their relationship work by keeping the two sides of Cesar separate, right? Gang Cesar does gang Cesar stuff when Monse is not there. He is not allowed, I would assume, not to sell any drugs, not to do any illegal activity in her presence, because Monse ain't with the street shit. She has a very bright future ahead of herself, but she loved this guy, so she's still going to entertain him. So when they are together, the street shit goes on pause. This just proves how young and naive Monse and Cesar are, because you can't clock out of street shit, right? The streets don't care that you with your girl. Your streets don't care if you trying to have a date, right? Your ops are not gonna be like, oh, we was gonna shoot up your car, but you with your girl, so we gonna see you next time. That don't happen. There is no company hours for gang shit, right? It's not a 9-to-5 job. You don't clock out. He's always gonna be on the lookout for ops. There was going to be a situation where gang activity was gonna have to happen in front of Monse, and it does happen. Him and Joker beat up this guy right in front of her, and she is pissed. She's like, you've made me accessory to assault. Why don't you care about me and my future? And then Cesar gonna be like, I always knew you wasn't ride or die. And she's like, yeah, I'm not ride or die. And just thank you, Monse, for stopping ride or die culture. Because ride or die culture is stupid. You dying for one of these niggas? Niggas don't wash dishes, and these niggas y'all want to die for? Couldn't be me. So I'm very, very happy that like Monse was like, I'm not gonna die for you. Like, we can build together, we can do great things, because like there's so much promise in Cesar, but he's just decided, in my opinion, he's decided to just give up on life. So he gives up on himself, and like Monse is like, I'm not going to do this. They tried. She really gave it a good, college try. But if you're not about that ride or die life, you should not be dating a gang member. It don't work out for girls like that. I really enjoy that like once all the gang was like forced to be around each other, they didn't just jump back into being friendships. So we got to see them be angry and be petty with each other, and then we also got to see them really work out their issues with each other and slowly come back together. Again, this was a great season for Monse, because because everyone hates Monse, right? That's the thing, that a lot of fans, they hate her. I've never really hated Monse. I think she's kind of irritating and annoying, but she's also a teenage girl. And teenagers, because I think all the characters in their own ways are irritating and annoying, but it's always terrible when a teenage girl is irritating and annoying. How dare she? So I've never hated Monse, but this was such a great season for her character development and character growth. Her entire arc I honestly feel like she has the best arc from season 1 through season 2, because you see how her situation with her mother really does affect her. Again, that's another reason why it was really great for her to make female friends, because her mother left her. So she did grow up with that female presence, and she desperately needed it. And as we can see, she got some female friends. She got emotional intelligence. She was able, was able to really like think about actions and behavior. And I was just like, who is this girl? Because there was so much growth in her, so much personal growth, and I love that. And I'm going to be honest, the plot for season 4 is very weak compared to the plots of the other seasons, but I think it works because this is the final season. In my opinion, this season isn't really plot driven, it's character driven. We have a lot of dialogue happening amongst the characters. We're unpacking a lot of issues with each other, and we're really delving deep into these characters. And this season being character driven just works so well, because this is the last time we are going to see these characters. So we are really getting an opportunity to really get to know them and see how because it's been 2 years, they're all completely different people now, and we really get to, throughout this season, see how much they've changed, see how much they've grown and matured, because they're not 14 anymore. They're all turning 18 and getting ready to go out into the world. So we're really sitting with them, and I guess just it's almost like we're meeting them for the first time over again, because 2 years when you're that young is actually a lot of time. And again, I just feel like it works so well because we know this is the last season. I feel like if we went into the season having no idea this was the last one, maybe I would have not liked the season as much, but it just felt fitting that we were spending so much time just with the characters, not off doing, goofy, silly missions and running around LA doing stuff, trying to get something, not following a treasure map, trying to find something. We were just with the characters. And I really felt like that helped us get a real good conclusion to everything. Oscar and Cesar's relationship this season broke me. Oscar's death broke me. Okay, because you could see it coming. That's what I hate about it. And also, this brings like another rant to my spirit about shows that give redemption arcs to characters just to kill them. Y'all are sick. Now, like, Cesar goes to Oscar's place after his house gets shot up, and he's like, I'm a child. I can't do this. I need you. I should listen to you. So we get that from Cesar. And there's just so much hopefulness in this scene. Because I remember tweeting, why do I feel like Oscar's going to get shot? I tweeted it because it's just something, just the tone of that scene told me this was not going to be a happy ending. Especially, we had like 4-5 episodes left, and I was like, there ain't no way they're going to wrap up Cesar's arc right now. And so when Oscar went out and he got shot, I'm not even going to hold you, I cried because he got out. He got married. Like, his daughter is never going to meet him. And I do believe that Oscar knew who killed him, and he purposely didn't tell Cesar. Because there's just this look on his face when Cesar asks him who did this. And I really believe that Oscar made a decision to end the cycle here. Because he knew that if he told Cesar who shot him, Cesar was never going to leave. He was never going to leave the streets. He was going to make it his mission to end whoever took out his brother. And Oscar did not want his brother consumed with revenge. And I really think that was honorable of him. That even in his last moments, he is thinking about Cesar. And that just shows how good of a brother he is. He's such a good brother. And again, he does not deserve to die. He didn't. In my personal canon, Oscar is alive in Seattle raising his daughter and having his restaurant. That's me. I don't care what any of the showrunners guys say. That man is alive. I really love the scene of Ruby visiting Latrell and Juvie. If you're unaware, because you're just here because you like me. Season 1, Cesar was tasked to kill Latrell. He's a member of the rival gang, the Prophets. He doesn't shoot him, and he tells him to just run. And Latrell's like, yeah, sure, I'll run. And then he shows up to the quinceañera at Ruby's house they were having for his girlfriend, Olivia. He pulls up there and shoots up the party, killing Olivia and injuring Ruby. And on season 2, we are dealing with Ruby's PTSD from the shooting. And that incident changed Ruby, and changed not only him, but the way the people around him treated him. And he kind of went, the reason why he went to go see Latrell and Juvie is one, Latrell is getting moved from Juvie to a big nigga prison, like where grown niggas at. That's where he's going because he's turning 18. And also just confront him in this fear, because Latrell had so much control over him after the shooting. But like, so to see him just look in the face of the person that could have killed him and told him that you don't run me, you don't have power over me, was very, very powerful. I also really liked the humanity this scene brought to Latrell, because one of my biggest issues this whole time is the fact that the only gang that got any humanity is the Santos, and the Prophets were just these bunch of black guys that were just villains, and we never really got to hear from their side. That was always like an issue for me. So in this scene, we got to see Latrell, a prophet, be humanized. We really get to understand that like Latrell is a little boy. He's a boy that is a product of his environment, right? Like, he's not a bad person. Like, does he make bad decisions and he's in a gang? Yes, but what other option did he have? Cesar could have very easily been Latrell if he didn't have the gang, right? I think they're two sides of the same coin. And so I think this seems very important to humanize him. He talked about his, like, what was it, 10th birthday party that Ruby was at. Like, Latrell's life could have been so different if he had a Ruby, a Jamal, a Monse in his life. So I do think this was very important to like make Latrell be human, because yes, he killed Olivia, yes, he shot Ruby, but he is a product of where he's from. And that scene, that scene, mwah, an amazing scene, well acted by everybody. Okay, listen, the guy that plays Ruby is a fantastic actor. I don't feel like he had a lot of the opportunity to really like act like he did in season 2. Like all of season 4, he really never had to like act, but in that scene, oh, he puts foot in that scene. I also like the fact that like none of our main couples stay together. Ruby and Jasmine don't get together, which I think is very important for them as people, that they need to be able to grow without being stuck to another person. So I do feel like for their own personal character developments, they need to be apart. Monse and Cesar don't end up together, and I think Cesar really needs to establish and get his life together. Like they're able to like help him graduate, like help him get all his schoolwork done, tutoring him. So he's now back on the right track, and he needs to continue on that track for himself and for Isabel and the baby, so he can be a good uncle to his brother's daughter. And I think Monse is doing fabulous by herself. I don't think she needs a boyfriend. I really don't. I really want her to continue on this path of like in development as a person. And I do feel like Cesar like fucks up her blinders a little bit. So again, I feel like for everyone to grow, they right now need to be apart, but we also get these seeds of like hopefulness that like you can definitely see them 5-10 years later getting back together, and I love that. So if I had to rank the seasons now, this ranking is probably subject to change as I watch the show from beginning to end multiple times, because I've only watched season 4 like this week. I have not watched it from beginning to end. So maybe after a couple like full run throughs, this ranking might change. But as of right now, from least favorite to favorite, my least favorite season is season 3. I dislike the whole plot with the gang leader lady. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I think also like as them as characters, they're all at their worst season 3. Watching Cesar be so horrible to Monse, and listen, I'm on Monse's side for season 3 a lot of the time, especially people have the misconception they never broke up season 3. They went on a break season 3. And personally, this is me personally, I don't think you should have sex with other people on breaks, which is what Cesar did, because having sex on break leads to break babies and STDs. That's just my opinion. So, like I said, they was on a break. People were saying they broke up. No, they did not. They were on a break. And I don't think having sex with people on break is okay. So that was terrible. I just hated season 3. Season 3 is probably my least rewatched of the first 3 seasons. The next season is season 4. And it could change, again, like I said, as I rewatch the show over and over again, which I will do. And season 4 might go up, but it's definitely better than season 3. I think season 4 is a fantastic conclusion to this series. It tied up not every loose end, but enough for me to feel satisfied and feel content. I'm not content with Oscar's death, but I'm content everywhere else. Now, my second favorite season is season 2. I really loved everything they did with Ruby's PTSD, and we really got to delve into Ruby and Cesar's friendship. I feel like that's what made season 2 so good, was to see the brotherhood between Cesar and Ruby. It was beautiful, honestly. Also, like seeing Oscar like be a big brother to like Ruby because his brother is off at college. I thought that was sweet. I thought that was all really cute too. Now, The best season of On My Block is season 1. The magic of season 1 can never be matched. Like I mentioned, I have rewatched season 1 of On My Block hundreds of times. And it's a hit that sticks like grits. Season 1 is a hit. Like I said, the best first season of any Netflix original show. I'm sorry, it just is. Of any series, listen. It's perfect. It truly, truly is. It's, I don't know. Just nothing compares to season 1 and seeing all of this set up for the very first time. It's so good. So good. And it's enjoyable to watch every single time. Season 1 never fails to be a good ride from beginning to end. So that's my ranking. Season 1 is the best, then season 2, season 4, then season 3. That's it for me, and that's it for On My Block. What are your guys' thoughts and opinions on not just the series finale, but On My Block as a whole? Who were your least and most favorite characters? What were your favorite plots? What would you rank these seasons? How much are you guys going to miss this show? Are you going to miss it as much as I am? I don't really know what's gonna fill the space of On My Block. If you guys have any show recommendations of shows similar to On My Block, put that on the comment section down below. And the song of the day for today is No Chill by Duckworth. Duckworth also dropped an EP. It's really good. You guys should listen to it. But I think, well, if you've made it this far, hey, hi, how's it going? You get to know that in the coming weeks, I might not be posting as much because we're going to be having people coming and fixing stuff around the house, and it's probably going to be loud. So I probably won't really have anywhere to film for the next couple of weeks. I'll know better like after we get like the estimate for everything, but once I know, I will definitely let you guys know. But just prepare for me to slow down on videos while stuff is being fixed. So that's it for me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.